All right, yeah. So we're trending upwards.
Yes.
Let's see how well that continues. Because I saw a new movie last weekend with my dad,
Oh,
Aquaman 2, The
yes.
Lost Kingdom.
Yeah. And so how was it?
Okay, so first off, I realized that this is just somebody's. This is not a real poster. This is just somebody's artistic rendering here. He does not, in fact, lose his hand all of the '90s Aquaman and get a hook hand.
Oh, darn.
I find it very funny that in the '90s, DC's basic strategy was do something edgy with every hero. How do we make Aquaman edgy? Give him a literal edged implement for a hand.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is a sequel to the previous Aquaman movie, as I guess you might guess.
And-
The weird thing about it is that it's actually way more interested in the plot of that movie than I think anybody who actually saw the movie was.
oh,
Um, and what I mean by that is, okay, so I kind of saw the first one as just a ridiculous CGI roller coaster ride.
mhm.
Like it was a silly movie that had a bunch of weird imaginative concepts that, like the Sahara at one point having been an ocean that uh, there was a lost or a lost Atlantean kingdom of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, undersea kingdoms of crab people. Yeah. Um, there were lines for like the. Remember that thing in the Rise of Skywalker where they had the stupid like dagger that was lined up exactly like the Death Star?
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
did the exact same thing in Aquaman too.
Oh,
The,
jeez.
the difference there was that um, it's funny how like the Death Star 2, there shouldn't have been a piece of it anyway
Yeah.
to land on the planet. But like, who would possibly bother making a dagger with the exact same shape as the Death Star? Whereas if you're trying to hide something in like an Indiana Jonesy kind of way, it's plausible enough for the genre to have like to have like a thing that you have to line up to see where the thing is hidden.
Yeah.
Although some of the lines seemed to imply like an extreme young Earth creationism almost. Like we're talking like the,
Yeah.
the world came into existence 500 years ago for some of this to work.
Oh, okay.
At least that's how I took a couple of the lines. I haven't seen it since.
Okay. Yeah.
But so in the end of the last movie, Arthur Curry marries marries Amber Heard,
Mm.
which makes it surprising he didn't lose a digit. Had to put on Ting, uh, who plays Queen Mara, and then they have a kid, and he's balancing being a father with being the king of Atlantis.
Mm.
So by day he is living with his dad is watching over his little son a lot of the time, and then he goes under the ocean to do kingly duties.
Okay.
Now, the first star of the movie starts with like them correctly guessing that a lot of people wouldn't remember the fine details of the plot, so you get a little bit of a recap.
Okay.
Uh, there's a lot of scenes of the kid using his or perfectly peeing, like while he's changing his diaper, like perfectly peeing in his mouth or peeing
Oh,
on him, which was kind of funny. Like it was
yeah.
like it's basically just like hammering in, hey, he's a dad now and he's actually like involved with the kid's life.
Yeah, yeah, that's always good to see having a positive male role model father figures in a movie.
Yeah. Um, the villain of the movie is Black Manta, who is still on a revenge spree after Aquaman left his father to die in the previous movie.
Oh, yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Right? Remember how he kind of just showed up in the middle of the movie and got spanked by Aquaman and Mira?
Right, yeah.
Well, he's back, and he uncovers the titular Lost Kingdom, which is a lost fragment of Atlantis in the Arctic that's being opened up a little bit thanks to global warming, which this movie is very much about global warming, like very much about global warming.
Okay. All right.
Uh, but The- but like there's this eldritch, ancient, evil king dude who is basically tempt. Like, remember that staff that Aquaman broke in the previous movie?
Yes. Yeah.
When the two halves of it get like
No, no,
no,
you're. Are you getting?
so
You're getting
it's
our DC movies mixed up. I
so
think.
it's funny. It's funny. They do in fact find a staff that was snapped in two, but Aquaman was not the one who snapped it. They just found it, and when he
Oh, okay, okay.
so that shows some a lack of creativity there. But so they reunite the two halves, and suddenly there's like Sauron whispering in Black Manta's ear.
Okay, okay.
You know, um, and so uh, because of plot reasons, Aquaman releases his evil brother Orm from the last movie, and because he's the only one who he can turn to for help. Um, because I guess he knew things.
Mm,
I guess because like he helped kind of create Black Manta, he could help track him down.
hmm.
It's like that one '80s movie with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy,
Oh,
48 Hours.
48 hours. Yeah.
Um, so not to get too deep into spoilers, because I half recommend this movie.
Mm,
Is the way I would put it. It's a so unlike the Flash, it actually has finished special effects,
okay.
which seems like a low bar, but there we are.
Yeah.
Uh, there were like a couple of shots in the movie that looked a little bit rough, but by and large, it actually had very nice visuals on it.
Mm,
It's also very imaginative. Like it's very globe hopping. You get to see a lot of places. You get to go back to the desert again, to the ancient prison where Orm is being held. Uh,
mm,
you get to see this Arctic kingdom that was lost. You get to see which is full of like the Necron kingdom or the Necro kingdom or something like that, where there's a bunch of zombies.
uh,
You get to see this basically Fish Jabba and his crime network,
yeah.
and it is very much about forgiveness and family and all that good stuff. Now,
Okay.
I'm gonna ask a question that I don't ask very often, at least non-rhetorically. Is this movie woke? And the answer is it's definitely there are aspects that are and there are aspects that aren't. Like the overall conclusion of the movie, and this isn't a spoiler because this is just like actually I should get back to it. So where this movie is very much into global warming is that the ancient evil kingdom of Atlantis was using a fuel source that was raising the temperature of the earth.
Mm,
What the evil Necro King is having Black Manta do is just grab all this fuel. Like, like this fuel couldn't be destroyed. So they've just been hiding it in bunkers for thousands of years. The Atlanteans have, I should say.
yeah.
It's like this green glowing stuff that you burn for energy. And the Necro King is just having Black Manta burn it wholesale to melt his kingdom faster and to destroy everything. So it's like
Okay.
hyper global warming, like, like what we've done in hundreds of years in a week.
Uh, okay.
Um, and my problem with that is that first off, even though Aquaman does win, spoiler alert, I won't say how, but you haven't done anything about all the orichalcum in the atmosphere that you've released there. Like, world is still boned.
Mm,
Um, like you haven't done it. You couldn't do anything to remove it. And the
uh,
reason you couldn't have like the anti-orichalcum or whatever is because the real end of the movie is Aquaman revealing the kingdom of Atlantis to humanity so they can join together to fight climate change. Which, to be fair, uh, he wanted to reveal themselves to the surface world so that they could work together. Because he's like, you can't be angry at humanity for polluting our oceans when they don't know we're down here.
yeah.
Because you might recall in the last movie that everyone in the council was totally on board with Orm's plan to just launch genocidal war against the surface.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So it's not like they went away.
yeah.
This movie is actually a very good continuation from like a plot and continuity perspective.
Okay.
It's also very good about giving you a flashback whenever they're bringing up a point from the previous movie.
Okay.
So it does a good job with that. Some people have been saying, oh, this is about the "you will eat the bugs" thing.
Yeah.
Um, okay. I'm going to spoil the joke, even though it's one of the funnier jokes in the movie. So Orm and Aquaman are on an island, I guess this tropical island,
Mm.
and they're Aquaman is saying, have you ever, you hate humanity, but you don't know anything about it. Yeah, you know what? There's nothing better than getting a big greasy cheeseburger and having a Guinness with it and washing it all down with a milkshake and dipping your fries in the shake. And Orm's like, I have no idea what any of those words are. Like it gets very buddy cop, which is strange with the villain of the last movie, but it works.
Yeah.
Um, and so they're going along in this jungle, and Aquaman says, you need to try some human food. Hey, there's this cockroach going along a leaf. And he grabs the cockroach and he's like, hey, you should try one of these. They're shrimp of the land. And he says, you eat these. Yeah, all the time.
Okay.
Not bad. Like he was just pranking his brother.
Okay. Okay. All right.
That isn't the agenda. The agenda is blinding you, like, or is it just like fully in your face.
Okay. So, sort of when you were mentioning that part, it reminded me of Superman 4.
I've never actually seen that.
Well, the plot of Superman 4 is Superman ridding the world of nuclear weapons.
And then it backfiring horribly.
Yes.
Um, then the other thing I'll say is how much Amber Heard is in this. They cut her part down to the bare minimum. She is around, but she only has lines in like 2 scenes.
Uh,
And heck, if you really hate her, she gets extremely messed up by Black Manta's heat ray at one point.
ooh. Okay.
So yeah, it's like the anti Amber Heard people have more to gain from this movie than the pro Amber Heard people.
All right.
But yeah, like I said, is this a great movie? No, it is. I would probably say that Blue Beetle is probably the better of the two movies in certain respects.
Okay.
But these both have like I feel like they both have their heart in in a good place. So like if this is the last DCEU movie, it's not an awful ending point for it.
Mm.
It is funny how like their most tonally continuity and character consistent series of this is freaking Aquaman
Yeah.
of all characters.
Yeah. Who's the absolute the absolute laughing stock of DC.
I will say though, I think part of why Aquaman 1 did so well, outside of Jason Momoa with his shirt off,
Yeah.
um, is that like my grandmother, who was unfortunately dealing with senility, when I mentioned I was seeing this movie, she said, "Oh yeah, he swims, right?" Like she knew who Aquaman was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got that going for it. But yeah, I'd say tepid recommend. If you were only going to see one DCEU movie from its last year of shove it out the door and let it die, I would probably say Blue Beetle over this one.
Okay.
But this was a good time.
Okay. Uh, well, yeah, it sounded like it was better than our last movie that we're going to be talking about.
Yes, spoilers, spoilers.
Spoilers, yeah.
But
Well,
let's get
I'll probably give it a watch when it drops on Max.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a bad time at all.
Yeah.